St. Louis's best mix of R&B and throwbacks. We are FOXY 1069, KevyKev on the Saturday. And man, I tell you what, it is on right now because I am so honored and happy to have joining us from Washington, the 1st Congressional District, right here with us, the new Congressman, Wesley Bell. How you doing, Congressman? Welcome to FOXY 1069.
Hey, I'm doing great. A lot going on.
Yes, sir.
But we ready to meet the moment.
Yes.
And excited about the work that we can do on behalf of this region. So we getting there.
We getting there. So I gotta ask you, a month on the job, how does it feel in DC? Tell us about your seat in DC. How does it feel now?
You know, like I said, it's this has been a crazy few weeks. We got the Trump administration that are writing and releasing these executive orders at a breakneck pace.
Yeah.
Many of these are illegal orders, and we are doing what we can to hold the line. Now, we're in the minority, and people have to understand that.
Right.
As you know, Democrats, we're a minority in the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and the Supreme Court for that matter. So Republicans have majorities in all of these. So I don't think people understand the implications of that. So that means when we see the things that Elon Musk is doing with the president, he is not an elected bureaucrat. So the work he's doing, he's not been vetted. He's not gone through any kind of ethical clearances. And we want to know what he's doing and how and what authority he's doing it on. But in order to subpoena, we have to have the majority to be able to subpoena him. We've already attempted to do that in the oversight committee, but we don't have the majority. And so we can't do that. Now, we're going to keep pushing.
Right. Your Republican colleagues are not really helping you with that?
Thus far, no.
Okay.
But what I'll say is that, so people have to understand how we fight. And how we fight is 3 ways: litigation, legislation, and mobilization.
Okay.
And so with litigation, we'll keep pushing through our committees, through with Democrats being united to slow down and try to stop and push back on these abuses. But litigation is the tip of the spear. And so as the minority party, we can't file a lawsuit on our own behalf. Only the Speaker of the House, which is the majority leader, can do that. But we can work with our partners and stakeholders who do have standing and work with them to get these cases filed. And thus far, about 37 to 38 cases have been filed. And so far, in the 7 or 8 that have been at least preliminarily ruled on, we've won every single one. So we were able to push back on that funding, the federal funding freeze. That was paused by a federal judge. We were able to, when they tried to shut down USAID, working with our partners, the courts agreed and paused that relieving of federal workers. And the infamous email that went out saying that people should quit and get 7 to 8 months severance or what have you, which was not cleared by Congress. A federal judge also said, nope, we're going to slow you down on that as well. So we're fighting as best we can, and we are winning.
Yeah.
But we do need, this has to be a we thing. And that means folks on the ground, at home, constituents, we all got to be pushing rowing in the same direction.
And you know, I want to ask you about it too, because it seems that, you know, we've had the horrible plane crash in Washington, D.C. and then in Philadelphia, and DEI being brought up, mentioned in that. And then when you see this pause that's been pushed by the president, and looking at your constituents, when he talks about pushing back on MLK, Dr. King Day, Juneteenth, Black History Month, the Holocaust recognition, Hispanic Awareness History Month. You know, all of the people, those are constituents of you, pride. Your thoughts on that?
First and foremost, I think that what we all need to do is Don't refer to it as DEI.
Mm-hmm.
It is diversity, equity, inclusion. Say the words.
Okay.
We have to push back on. It's easy to fight an acronym. It's easy to say, oh, DEI, DEI.
Sure.
Let's talk about diversity.
Okay.
This country is built on diversity. This country is a country of immigrants. Unless you are a Native American, your people came here at some point. And when we talk about equity, that's something that all Americans want. A fair shot. And when we talk about inclusion means everybody.
Right.
So let's whenever you mention that on the radio, and I'm talking about people listening, say the words. We got to make them defend how they can be against diversity, which is this country's superpower. Equity, which means all folks, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, you name it. And inclusion, which is everybody, women, everybody. And so the fact that they would deny celebrating our American history because Black history is American history, that to me is outrageous. And we have to understand what's going on and what folks are doing and push back against that. And I'll add this, our elections have consequences. When we don't show up as strongly in November and during the elections, this is what happens. So this energy that we're seeing now, we need that same energy come the last election and come in the next election, because we're 3 seats down. If we get the majority back in the House in 2 years, we can subpoena Elon Musk. We can bring court cases in our own name, but we can also start bringing legislation to the floor to stop these abuses of power.
All right. Well, that is U.S. Congressman, our congressman from the 1st Congressional District here in the St. Louis area, Wesley Bell. He's talking about getting started in Washington, D.C., what is taking place. We got some music, but we're going to get back and talk more to the congressman, all right? Looking forward to that. FOXY 1069. St. Louis's best mix of R&B and throwbacks. We are FOXY 1069. KevyKev on a Saturday, and man, it is on because we truly have a great honor to have our guest in the house with us here. And that, of course, is U.S. Congressman joining us here, Wesley Bell. And he's just been talking to us about everything going on in D.C. and how it relates to us. And some of what we talked about doing the music there, Congressman, was about you've been working with this grant, which is about $7 million. It's going to lower costs for housing, mortgages, rent. Tell everybody about that and how is it going? And is it in question now?
We talk to our constituents and residents, and for me, it's not just enough to have constituency services. We want to have the gold standard of constituency services. And one of the issues that is top of everyone's list is housing, and not only access to affordable and quality housing, but access to that American dream of, housing prices are going through the roof. If you are just getting out of college, I mean, it is very difficult to pay to buy a house and have that piece of the dream, if you will. So that's going to continue to be a priority of ours, is making certain that we can help organizations that are doing that work on the ground, so that people can, get into and own a house. Because when you talk about building wealth, the surest way to build wealth is through home ownership. That's the way that when we look at in the early 1900s, how many Americans were able to build wealth. They were able to invest in the suburbs and those GI Bills when people came back from the war that a lot of Black folks couldn't get. Okay. And there was a lot of redlining, particularly in St. Louis. So we were limited in where we could go and buy a house. And so we, in many ways, missed out on that generational wealth, if you will. We don't want to miss out on that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you talked about it with everything that's taking place, and you not having a majority being the Democratic Party. How is this? Is it in question? Will we still Will this still be? I know what you want to happen.
You know, the problem with it is that we don't know.
Okay.
This administration continues to make these executive orders, and they're not talking to us. They're not giving guidance on what's going to be impacted and what's not. And we met with healthcare centers in this region, and I want people to understand that this impacts us right here in this community. Our federally funded healthcare centers, which actually are doing life-saving treatments and and issuing life-saving medications and you name it, don't know if they're going to be able to keep the doors open. Okay. And that's a problem. And so we're working with our partners to get litigation into the courts, because again, that's the tip of the spear. And so thus far we pressured the administration to walk back that memo, but that's what they did on Thursday. Let's see what they're going to do on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And so we're going to keep pushing back. And you know, one thing that I'd say, I'm fortunate to be in this place because the front line is litigation. Mm-hmm. Well, your congressman is a lawyer.
Yeah, so, that's right. That's right.
So I this is my world, and I serve
on your wheelhouse. Yeah, right?
I serve with a group of litigators that are in Congress, and that's something that we do. That I'm volunteering and working with our caucus, because we are working together. And so we're going to push back in every way we can, but we got some short-term things we're going to do, and that's fighting in the courts, legislating as much as we can, mobilizing our folks. But then long-term, we cannot forget what happens come election time. Sometimes we have short memories.
Yeah.
We have to get the House back. You want to see investigations done? You want to see me be able to put my prosecutor hat back on?
Okay.
Put us in the majority so that we can do it.
We want to see that. We want to see that. Yeah. Okay. So, and you talked about litigation, legislation, the mobilization, because someone listening might say, well, I heard a congressman on there, but what does this have to do with me in St. Louis? What do you want your constituents? What would you like to see happen?
You care about housing. Mm-hmm. You care about your health care. You care about prescription drug prices. If you care about those things, you have a family member mm-hmm. that maybe is diabetic, or struggling with Alzheimer's, and that needs that long-term care that many folks can't provide on their own. Many of these organizations are federally funded. There were senior facilities that did not have access to their funding that's already been approved for them, already approved by the Congress, signed by a president. These are funds that have already been duly approved and authorized lawfully. And now there are folks that still can't get access to them, and that's wrong. And we want to know why, and we're gonna keep pushing. But we need the public to be involved and aware on how this impacts them. This is not just some argument in D.C.
right,
or some political argument. This impacts us right here in the St. Louis region.
It affects us, and I hear you saying too. It gets back to us. The power of voting, we have to exercise that.
Don't tell me that voting doesn't matter. We had people talking about #VoteCouch. Well, guess what? This is what happens when you stay on the couch. And so now we have people calling in, and we want to encourage people to call in, let us know your stories, but also understand that when we're in the minority, this is what it looks like. And that's why elections are so important. The elections have consequences.
Well, let me ask you, because I know you over the years, you've always made sure that your supporters, or even if they weren't supporters, I'll say the population that you represent, that they get access to. So if somebody wants to get in contact with their Congressman Wesley Bell, what do they do? How do they make contact, connect with you?
So we have a local office here in St. Louis. They can go online. They can go to our all our different social media pages. They can call in. I mean, any way, reach me by caravan, across the desert, however, like the song goes.
Yeah.
Reach out to us.
Get here, right? Just get there.
Just get here. Absolutely. Right. You can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, you know how it goes.
Yes, sir.
But we are 3.5 weeks in, and so we are getting our office set up, and we're doing those things. Our office is downtown. And we're going to be hosting town halls. We're getting those things set up, but folks got to understand we still got work to do, and we got a lot of work to do. and I serve on the Armed Services Committee. I serve on the Oversight Committee, and we've already had hearings on Social Security and the workforce. We've had security on right-sizing the government, where we've been able to push back against some of these narratives. And so we're going to continue to do that work, but that mobilization piece is important. We need folks pulling in the same direction. We need to take this fight to the public so folks know that it's not just a DC argument, but this is an argument. This is a battle that impacts us right here at home.
All right. Well, before we let you go, and we thank our crew, the Foxy crew on Facebook, watching us live, watching the congressman here. We appreciate that. And a big shout out to Ed over there making it happen too. Want to ask you this: who you got in the big game?
Listen, one thing that I don't do.
Make predictions?
No. I'll make a prediction.
Okay.
But there's just certain things in life that you do. You got to pay your taxes, man. If you're out there, you're not paying your taxes, it's gonna catch up with you, right? You got to pay the bills.
Okay.
You got to do that, and you gotta bet on Patrick Mahomes, man. Like there's just things in life that are true, and if you want to continue to just make bad decisions, and keep pushing against that brother. I mean, this
and
is
he's in your state, right?
And he's in our state.
He's in your state.
He's in our state, but and again, Philly, they got some. I mean, they're a great team.
Yeah, Saquon, you got to control him, right?
Monster,
right?
But we talking
Patrick
Mahomes,
right?
Come on, come
Kelsey,
on, man.
You got Kelsey there.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly.
Taylor Swift, right? We got it.
Hey, bless her heart too. But Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Okay. Mahomes. Remember that.
Just remember that.
Okay.
That's GOAT work.
Well, Congressman Bell, thank you so much for coming by Foxy 1069. We really appreciate it. And you got to come back again. We need you here.
Absolutely.
We need you.
Anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. That's U.S. Congressman Wesley Bell with us. And we appreciate him so much for stopping by. And also, Jordan, please forgive me. Jordan making it happen.
Got a great team. He's got a great team.
He's got a great team. Jordan keeps the congressman on schedule, right, Jordan? She tries. Okay. All right. She tried to make it happen. All right. So we're going to get back to the music and say thanks again to Congressman Wesley Bell from the 1st Congressional District. This is Foxy 1069.